Divorce lawyers of Reddit, what are some of your most memorable cases? I had a client who's an elderly gentleman, some type of retired professional. His son is a pastor. Everything about his divorce seemed very normal in terms of income, property, etc. However, it turns out he had a pretty serious porn hobby, and he was concerned his wife might find out and use it against him in the divorce. I assured him that porn addiction is pretty run-of-the-mill these days and unlikely to affect anything. He then asks if I'd feel the same knowing the porn is not mainstream. I asked what he means and he looks very nervous. I wanted to make sure he wasn't referencing CP, so I pushed him on it. Turns out the guy was into goats. I had a client incur about 20 additional billable hours because he and his ex-wife went to trial over their Star Wars collection. They were able to work out custody, child support, and the house. Only the Star Wars collection went to trial. The judge ended up splitting it in the nastiest way possible, basically giving each side half of what they wanted and then mixing and matching everything else and breaking up collections. The judge admitted she did it because if they were going to act like children, she would treat them like children. The thing is, the value of this collection was over $100,000. It's hardly kids' stuff, but neither side had it in them to appeal. Please like and subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you. I was a paralegal on a case where two oil industry heirs were fighting over their kids, each parent saying the other was causing emotional harm to the children as a way to get attention. Neither parent worked, but they each pulled in $100,000 every month in trust money. The children were 12 and 15, and the parents had been litigating since they were born. There was no physical abuse, and each parent was capable of parenting. But rather than love their children, they chose to spend an ungodly amount of money fighting each other. The attorneys were happy to pull in the paychecks each month, so there was hardly ever any talk of resolution. During my first year of law school, lawyers from different practices came to give us a peek behind the curtain. The divorce lawyer told the story of a rather well-to-do couple that spent months and tens of thousands of dollars fighting over absolutely everything all the way down to a single ceramic ashtray. Even after everything else had been decided, they spent many more months and nearly $100,000 fighting over just this ashtray. After a court hearing, the wife finally won the ashtray. She promptly strode out to the courthouse steps, smashed the ashtray, and left the pieces all over for the husband to see on his way out. I decided that day I would not be a divorce lawyer. I represented a porn actress who filed for divorce from her husband, who was also in the porn business. He would do gay porn on the side because the pay was better. She was hesitant about it, but went with it because the pay was decent. Both sides had an agreement that it wasn't cheating as long as it was for work. One day, she came home early and found her husband in bed with two men. They were not filming. She decided that was too much for her. Needless to say, the old conservative judge couldn't wrap his head around this one. The child of my client, a 10-year-old girl, thanked me after the custody battle against her out-of-control alcoholic mother. The court awarded full physical and legal custody to my client, the father. The child said to me that I was a lawyer for kids. I never forgot the compliment. That was 30 years ago. I handled a divorce between a teacher, the wife, and a CVS cashier, the husband. I represented the wife. For all intents and purposes, the wife was the breadwinner of the family, and she supported herself, her husband, and their two children. One of the children was severely autistic and required intensive and expensive rehab and education. During the process of the divorce, the husband, now living alone, sued the wife, who's caring for both children, for temporary spousal support. He met all the statutory guidelines to receive it, but it just came off as slimy. On the day of the hearing, the judge reviewed all of the facts and spent 20 minutes lambasting the husband. He called him a vile creature that was everything wrong with society. The judge then told us that his hands were tied and that he was forced to grant the spousal support. But he let everyone know how little he thought of the husband. As we were leaving the court, the husband just kept saying to my crying client, "Fuck you, pay me." My client was the outrageous one, so my heart went out to his poor wife. He had OCD, which manifested financially, and he made their lives a penny-pinching hell. For example, he was obsessed with avoiding unnecessary driving, so he cut the whole family's hair at home and never let them eat at a restaurant or go to the movies. The weirdest of all is that he kept one toilet paper roll on him at all times, and you had to get 1 square from him before you could go to the bathroom. He never gave more than 1 square. His wife finally got fed up and left him when he gave her bangs during an in-home haircut, and their daughter was so traumatized by the toilet paper thing they couldn't potty train her. He also hated paying his divorce lawyer bill. He was an old-fashioned mega-Catholic who considered divorce a deadly sin, so he viewed my whole job as an unnecessary and sinful expense. My client fled the home with her baby after an incident of domestic violence. In my state, both parents have full rights to the children unless a custody order is in place. In other words, whoever has the kid gets the kid. Police will not intervene when one spouse is withholding a child from the other spouse if there are no orders in place. Well, my client had the child for 2 weeks at her new place when her husband showed up demanding the child. She refused, so he called the police. The responding officer was a family friend of both, but originally a friend of the husband. The officer shows up and decides to try to mediate the conflict. He then tells my client something along the lines of, "Let him hug his son goodbye and he will leave peacefully." My client was hesitant, but agreed. The husband took the kid and exclaimed, "He's mine now," and ran to his car with the baby. No supplies, no clothes, nothing. Police officer claimed he had no idea what was happening, and since no orders were in place, there was nothing my client could do. While we were trying to track the husband down, we got an order returning the child to my client. He suddenly contacted my client saying he was at a hotel in the area, and if she wanted her son back, she could if she came over and slept with him. We sent the police. My brother is a divorce attorney. In his most memorable case, he was representing a guy in a custody battle who was accused of horrific child abuse. Very graphic and very detailed depositions from the young kids against daddy. Things look grim. Then my brother, a failed actor, notices that the deposition transcript, done by social workers under oath, contains a question at the end from one of the kids. Did I hit my marks? He wonders how little kids know about acting jargon. So he subpoenas the wife's personal checking account during discovery, and sure enough, there were acting lessons. Then he deposes an extremely sketchy acting coach, and the panicked coach produces DVDs of practice interrogations with the kids and admits to coaching the kids on exactly what imaginary things to say about daddy. He says it was his one and only Perry Mason moment in 20-plus years of practice, and the dad got sole custody of the kids. A couple had 2 kids. One healthy and one severely disabled. Like 24-hour-a-day care, more surgeries than birthdays, and will never have a normal life kind of disabled. My client's idea of the divorce was that his soon-to-be ex-wife would take the disabled kid and move out of the house. He would keep the house and the healthy kid, and his girlfriend would move in. He would contribute nothing to the ex-wife and nothing toward the care of the disabled kid. The judge was not impressed. She got everything the judge could possibly give her. The house, the nicer car, both kids, alimony, and the maximum child support allowed by law. I think the judge would have turned my client over his knee and spanked him if it had been possible. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to my channel for more Reddit stories. This is Reddit Story Hour. See you in the next video.